Hi everyone and welcome back to Amy's Cooking. Today we're doing something that's a little different than my usual. I've done a couple of videos on dinner recipes and I have done a couple of videos on different types of baked goods, but I realized I haven't done anything that's dessert related. So today I will be showing you how to make this coconut pandan jelly dessert. These are little green droplets that are made out of rice and tapioca flour. You eat it with coconut milk and a sweet syrup served with ice. This delightful, refreshing drink is very popular in our family, especially for my little girl who is 6 years old. She thinks this is the coolest slime ever. So these pandan droplets, they have a very amazing texture. It is very soft, it's very silky, it just kind of melts in your mouth. You can have it as a single flavor or you can have it as multiple different flavors, just like this one that you see here. It is just absolutely amazing. All right, let's get started. We're gonna need tapioca flour, rice flour, water, sugar, salt, coconut cream, pandan extract, water chestnuts, and red food coloring. Let's start by combining our dry ingredients. I have provided the exact measurements in the description box below. If you have a scale, I would recommend that you use the scale to make sure the measurements are exactly the same. If you're using cups and spoons, it can vary a little bit depending on how we scoop. So make sure you pack the flour and level it. Onto the wet ingredients. In a separate bowl, combine your room temperature water with the coconut cream and the pandan extract. The pandan extract version is the traditional one that you will usually find, but today we're doing a combination of pandan extract and coconut and ube. I will walk you through step by step how to make these droplets using the pandan extract version. If you are interested in making the coconut and the ube, just repeat the same process for the others. Now, once all of your ingredients have been combined, we will run the batter through a strainer before we cook it. The key thing to this recipe is how the mixture is cooked. It has to be cooked on low heat. If you cook it on high heat, everything is going to congeal too fast, leading to clumps rather than a smooth texture. I have my heat setting on number 2, which is one higher than the lowest setting. In the first 5 to 6 minutes, nothing much will happen. But once you get past that stage, everything will happen very quick. It is very crucial that you continuously mix the solution during this entire cooking process. If you don't, you're going to start to see clumps rather than a smooth texture, which is what we're looking for. Here is at the end of 8 minutes. You can start to see the solution getting more viscous and things are starting to congeal. At this point, you need to increase your speed and your power and mix it really, really well. As the mixture continues to cook, you will also notice a change in color. At first, it was very cloudy and dull. As it cooks, the color will become more translucent. This is about 10 minutes into the cooking process, and for the next few minutes here, I'm going to show you real-time recording so that you can see the texture as it cooks. Getting it to the right consistency is going to help us shape these jellies into the perfect shape that it should be. If we overcook it, it will make it very hard to shape them. If you undercook it, the dough obviously is not cooked, and also it will be so runny that when it comes out, it will not have that droplet shape. Notice how smooth the batter is, and when I pick up the whisk, the batter just flows down very nicely. This is going to take anywhere between 10 to 12 minutes. Time to shape our jelly droplets, and to make these little droplets you're going to need a potato ricer. You can find it at the grocery store, or if you can't, I have a link in my description box. It comes with a couple of different attachments. On the very bottom, it has these little a piece with these little holes in them, and then also it has the top part to kind of secure the bottom piece in place. This is where we're going to add our jelly mixture to. We're not going to close the top, we're just going to let gravity help pull these droplets through these little tiny holes. And this is why I mentioned earlier the consistency of your mixture is so key, because if it's too thick, it won't be able to just pull through these holes like you see here. In contrast, if it was too runny, then you won't be able to make these little droplet shapes. Also, you will need a generous amount of ice in the water so that as these droplet comes down, it will chill it and cool it right away. If everything is hot, then it will stick together and you will end up with a big chunk of clump instead. Look at these little droplets. How cool is this? If you look closely at each of the single droplets, you will see they have a very shiny, smooth, silky texture on the outside. Now, when you eat this, it just melts in your mouth. You will also notice at the end of these droplets there's a little stringy tail. It's perfectly fine if you want to serve it that way. For me though, my own preference, I like to shave some of that off. And it can easily be done if we rinse it a couple of times. So take all your pandan jellies and transfer it to a bowl of cold water. Give it a quick rinse, maybe once or 2 times. I will also show you an extra step which you obviously can omit if you don't really care for that perfect shape. But using the strainer, something similar to what you see here, put the jelly into that strainer and under the actual faucet, let the water run very slow. Some of that strain is going to come through those small holes. On the other side, what you want to do is you want to take your hand and kind of just rub the back side of the strainer so that you can remove those little small tips off of these pandan jellies. Once you've rinsed it, transfer it back into your storage bowl with cold water. These little jellies does need to be stored in cold water, otherwise they will all kind of come together into a clump. Look at these little guys. I've shaved off the tail. They are super shiny, silky, smooth, very beautiful. Time to make our sugar solution. Combine your water and your sugar, and on medium heat, dissolve the sugar. Once all of the sugars have been dissolved, let it simmer for a few minutes so that it becomes syrupy. Moving on to the coconut milk solution. Same thing, on medium heat, we will add the coconut milk and the sugar and also the salt. Combine everything well, let everything dissolve. Once everything has been dissolved, we will add an extra thickening agent, which is a combination of rice flour and water mixture. When you add the thickening agent, just make sure that you're adding a little bit at a time. I usually start with about 2 tablespoons and then I continue to mix the solution and see how thick it's gone before I add extra. Keep in mind that the solution, once cool, is going to be a lot thicker, so make sure you get it to about this consistency here, and that's good enough. Take it off of the heat because it will become even more thickened and you want it to be a runny texture. Another great thing that you can add to this already amazing dessert are these imitation pomegranate seeds. What it is water chestnuts cut into little small cubes that you coated with tapioca flour. It really doesn't take a lot of time to make it, but it does add a little bit more fanciness to your dessert. It adds a little bit more color, it adds a little bit more texture, as opposed to the pandan jelly, which melts in your mouth. These little guys here are a little bit more chewy, and it has a little crunch to it when you bite into the water chestnuts. So we start by dicing the water chestnuts into these little cubes. Once all of the water chestnuts have been cut up, we will add it to a bowl and add a little bit of red food coloring. Go slow, just add a couple of drops at a time and see how you like it. It doesn't have to be a lot. When you reach the color that you like, begin adding in the tapioca flour. And when you add the tapioca flour, just add a little bit at a time. Coat the water chestnuts and then repeat the step. You want to coat it to where most of the red is gone and you're just seeing the white from the tapioca flour. Transfer the imitation pomegranate seeds to a strainer, something with bigger holes, and you're going to shake it so that you can get rid of the excess flour. Getting rid of the excess flour will help us to get more defined shapes when we boil the pomegranate seeds. Bring the water to a boil before you add in the imitation pomegranate seeds, and when you add them in, add them slowly and make sure you're swirling the water around so that they don't just stick together when it boils. Also, you don't really have to cook this for very long. These pieces are very small, so it only takes about 2 to 3 minutes to cook. One of the ways to tell that they're cooked is when you see everything kind of floats to the top of the pot, you know it's ready. At that point, remove it from a heat and transfer it to an ice cold bath. Look at them, they look so adorable. They're these little chewy little things. I just love them. I can't eat these desserts without them, so every single time I go through the extra step to make these little guys. Okay, time to kind of combine everything together. You've got your imitation pomegranate seeds. You've got 3 different flavors of jelly drops. You've got the ube, you've got the pandan, you've got the coconut. For the coconut is essentially just omitting the different extracts. Add lots of syrup, lots of coconut milk, lots of ice, mix everything around, and you've just made yourself a fantastic dessert. I cannot tell you how much I love this dessert. It's very refreshing. It's something that every party needs to have. Okay guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope that you find the tips and the explanations that I provided throughout the video helpful. And if you do, please hit the like button, comment, give me some feedback, hit the subscribe button and the notification button so that you'll be notified when I post my next video. Enjoy guys!